Money. Don't raise your hands. I don't want to see. How many of you have money issues? So it's a pattern you got into. Somewhere along the line, you developed a pattern of not ever having quite enough, or as Tobias would say, you bought into the just barely enough consciousness, just barely enough to fill the gas tank to get here, just barely enough to pay the rent, but not enough to absolutely enjoy life.
This is caused by many lifetimes of vows of poverties. It is caused by basically a perception of your own limitations. You think you are limited. You forget that you are the masters. Then you try to create the abundance and the money through hard work, and you wear your damn bodies out. Working and working, multiple jobs, thinking that the more you abuse your body, the more money perhaps it will bring. Or you believe that money is manifested through the mind. It is not. You perceive abundance to come in through only very specific channels. A regular job, you see that many times you are limited to a job that pays $15 an hour. So you calculate how many hours that you can work in a year, and that is your level of abundance, and you hold yourself within that. Most of you do not even perceive yourself to be in a job that would pay $500,000 in a year. Most of yourself do not perceive money coming in from something that isn't a job, something that you are not working for. You think you are limited to a specific career path or an hourly payment.
Some of you have had past life experiences where you've been very rich and you've abused the power. And you feel really guilty about it. You are so abusive. It wasn't the money. It was your power. Or maybe money was part of the power game, but you've now shut off that money flow because you're afraid you're going to abuse it. I can tell you right now, you're not going to, even if you try to. You can't. You simply can't. When you reach a point of consciousness, you can no longer abuse it. It's offensive. It's appalling. You wouldn't want to do it. You're going to have a lot of abundance, and you're going to share it, not out of guilt. You're just going to share it because, and it'll keep flowing in, and you're not going to abuse it. You have too much consciousness right now about things like power. Power is an illusion. You don't need power. Power is for people who don't realize that everything is already within. Abundance is a God-given right. From the moment that Spirit gave you identity, yourself, you also had all the abundance and all the energy you ever needed. I don't care what country you live in. I don't care what your opportunities were. I don't care if you come from a rich family or poor family, if you're smart or stupid. None of that matters. They're all excuses. There's only one thing that counts. Whether you're ready to channel abundance into your life in a joyful way, in a fulfilling way, in a wealthy, gifted way. Or are you going to continue walking down that path of just barely enough with a lot of excuses? For a lot of you in the past, when you've thought about wealth or abundance, some of you just flat out don't accept it, like it's something wrong. But a lot of you too then get real mental about it. How do you approach this? Do you need to take classes? Do you need to learn economics? Do you need to go out and get a high-paying job or whatever? And you've gotten yourself kind of backed into a corner because you've gotten mental about it. It's not a mental thing. It is a state of being, a state of consciousness. Please don't ever, ever work at abundance, because then you're working against it. In other words, if you're saying, I'm not abundant, I have to go take an abundance class, you're going to be even more not abundant. You're going to be abundantly non-abundant. It is so simple. If you believe you're not abundant, that's exactly what's going to happen. This whole thing about money, now this is one that we could have a talk about for a long time. It has been a struggle for so many of you, and it doesn't need to be. It is so very easy. And you're saying now in your mind, well, tell me, Cthulhu, how am I supposed to do this? Is there a scheme? Is there a plan? There is none of that. You don't worry about it anymore because the focus isn't on the little needs. When you are in this new energy, you have surrendered and you are unto you. It just happens to take care of itself. It really does. Many of you still can't accept that. You can't accept that it can just happen. You think still that you have to plot it, plan it, fight for it, and hold on to it. And that there has to be a degree of suffering, and there has to be a degree of limitation. There doesn't at all. I ask you to surrender that. That is holding back this flow. Other misperceptions about money. What are they? What are some of your misperceptions? Money or energy is limited. Limited. I mean, you've lived that way. You've heard your parents say, well, we don't have enough money to buy you this or buy you that. We don't have enough money to pay for your college. You have to always save up for a rainy day. It's like there is a limitation to energy, and there's really not. There is more energy that I'm in my hand, in Calder's hand right now. And there's more energy in his hand to power this whole community for months of time. And this is just a little part of all creation. Can you imagine all the energy? There's so much energy that if all the soul beings in all of creation all use the maximum amount of energy that they could possibly imagine, they're only going to use a small fraction of all the energy that's available because energy originally came from the passion of the soul. And that passion of the soul is so grand. Money is the root of all evil. Money is the root of all evil. But it gets put into your brain. It's a hypnotic overlay, and then you just believe it, even if you don't remember it, even if you're not thinking about it consciously. But money is the root of evil. It was rich people that came up with that. Pretty smart, these rich people, to say that, or organizations or groups or churches or anything else, because, boy, if everybody had stuff, they're going to want to take mine, and I'm not going to be the rich guy. I'm not going to be on top of the mountain, so I'm going to say money is the root of all evil. But it's not. Money, abundance, is simply gifting yourself. Simply giving to yourself. And don't feel selfish about it. That the master is poor. The master has no physical belongings because these things are bad. I doubt it. This whole thing of the master, the guru, being without worldly possessions, that was for an era gone past, a bygone era. And some of them did because they were challenged with, they felt that the physical joys of life were a distraction. There was a consciousness back then that physical is bad, that the body is bad, that it's going to do things like eat and poop and have sex and all the other things. So there was a denial of the body. But every one of them, and including Cthulhu and Buddha and all of the rest of them, came to realize that the body is to be loved and integrated and enjoyed and have pleasure with it. It wasn't to be denied. Worldly goods are to be enjoyed. In order to make money, you have to work hard. That's another one on our list of, you don't have to work hard. Maybe you want to work hard. You don't have to work hard. You'll probably have to do something. In other words, you can't just sit in the throne in your castle all the time. Well, you could, but you'll get kind of bored. You want to get up and, well, make the effort to step into your coach, or in this case, a fancy car, and drive it down the street, unless you have a chauffeur. But you don't have to work hard. Get over that one. That one was instilled in so many of you by parents and teachers. No, and you don't even have to work smart. You just have to let that abundance flow in. That's all. That's all. and without feeling guilty about it, without feeling shame, without wondering whether you deserve it or not. But if you're doing spiritual work, you can't charge for it.
Ooh.
Oh, that is sick. That is just plain disgusting sick. And who's saying that? It's the people without any money that want to feed off of you, that are manipulating you, that say, well, but this is spiritual work, it should be free. I doubt it. It should be more expensive than anything on this planet. It should be the most expensive thing, and you should make them want it so much that they manifest the money by miracle. That's another perception. You have to be greedy if you want money. You're a greedy person. No, you're not. You're a wise person. You're a person who's enjoying life. If others don't choose to have abundance, don't choose to enjoy life, that's their issue, not yours. You're choosing to enjoy life. In the past, they promoted a belief or a consciousness that if you were abundant, it was taking away from your neighbor or somebody else. And therefore, you shouldn't want abundance because you're being selfish and greedy. The fact is, if you're abundant, then your nature potentially sees their potential for abundance. The light shining out of your windows of your house illuminates over to their house and shines on the fact that they also could be abundant if they chose. The biggest game of all is believing that it's outside of you. A bank has the money you don't. That your competitor has the money that you don't. That it's out there, not in here. That's the biggest game. You get over that hurdle, and suddenly money, abundance, everything else is no longer an issue. It's just energy movement. That's all. That's all. Energy illusions. By the way, if there's anything in your life, some of you will get mad at me, but if there's anything in your life, whether it's a lack of money, whether it's a lack of friends, illness, or anything else, it's there because you want it to be. It is. I know some of you are cussing at me right now, but you want it to be, otherwise it wouldn't be there. This is one of the very simple principles of spiritual existence. If it's there, you must want it there. And you say, but no, I don't want this. Well, yeah, actually you do, because you don't want the alternative. So you're putting in something might be a little uncomfortable. You don't want the alternative. You don't want true abundance. Why? Because you'd have to wake up. You don't want true health. Why? Yes. Then you couldn't be a damn victim anymore. Yeah. I know you're saying, no, but this wasn't my fault. Yeah. Actually, if it's there in your life, serving a purpose, or at least then you don't have to face the alternative. What if life was truly abundant and truly easy? What if you had tremendous amounts of energy? What if? Well, it'd mean that you couldn't play games anymore. You couldn't be the victim anymore. You couldn't walk around with the poor me mentality anymore. You wouldn't have any excuses. You would have to be an embodied master. You would have to be a living God. That's a lot of pressure, but not really. If there's still happening in your life, it's because you're still getting something, or maybe you're addicted to it, but then get over the addictions. Maybe you still like the suffering. Get over the suffering. Nobody is inflicting anything on you. You may buy into mass consciousness. You may buy into your family ancestral game and all the rest of that, but get over it now. We have big things to do right now. You can't blame anything else. You can't blame a past life. You can't blame it on the fact that you're not just getting all this wonderful, amazing, wise information. When you realize if it's in your life, that because you're still loving on it, you're still getting something from it, you're still playing a game. And we gotta bring that to a head right now. Anything. You're not a victim to anything. If you understand that the energy is all yours, you're the damn creator, you could do what you want. I don't want to hear these excuses, but I've tried. No, you haven't. You've tried with the abundance thing. You've tried You think maybe work a little harder or something like that, but you're still holding on to the old issue of abundance, the poor me, and I just don't know better, and money's bad, and all the rest of these. You got to let it go. Or be with it, but don't continue forward with Shaumbra and Crimson Circle. Just don't. Go back, be in your poverty pity party, and have fun until you're ready to get out of it. Now, that's putting some of you on the spot here. And I hear you starting to say, but Adamus, you don't understand. I do understand. I understand that you're involved in a very interesting and deep and emotional game of some sort. That's why I said before, what would life be different like if you had a lot of money or a lot of love or a lot of health? What would you have to let go of? What would you have to change in your life? And are you really willing to do that? Are you really willing to go to that next step? It might mean going through something very life-changing. It might mean having to get rid of the parasites that are in your life, feeding off you. I'm talking about family members and friends. It's true. That makes a lot of people upset. They want to think that they're not responsible for some of these issues. Relationship issue, for instance. But it must still be serving you. You can breathe into it. You can feel into it. And it will tell you how it's still serving you. And it will ask you if you're really ready to let go. Really ready to let go. Really ready for a change. Feel into the things in your life, the things you think you're done with, things that you don't really like. And I have to ask you, are you really ready to change these? If so, they will be gone. Energetically, they cannot stay. But if you're not really ready for a change, and if it's still serving you somehow, it will stay.